Hello, I am so excited to be with all of you today to share my five-step approach to customer journey flows. This is actually one of my favorite email marketing topics because I really believe that having a good process to creating customer journeys is key. So let's get into it. Before we get started, just a little bit about me. I have been in the email marketing automation world for over 20 years. I started my consultancy in 2017, really because not only do I have a passion for working on email marketing, but I also really have a passion for working with small and mid-sized businesses. And today that is about 90% of my business. I do work with some larger clients as well, but the majority of my business is small to mid-sized businesses. And I really believe that that's important because they should be able to get the same email expertise that large brands get. So before we dive into my approach to customer journey flows, I really want to just talk about the basics. So what is a customer journey? It's the complete experience that someone has with your brand at every touch point as they move from awareness to consideration to purchase to post-purchase. Sometimes these are known as drip campaigns, sometimes they're automations, lifecycle campaigns, customer journey, flows. But at the end of the day, it's really all about your customer journey. By having a customer journey flow or drip campaign, however you're going to call it, you are able to deliver the right message on the right channel because I also believe that SMS does play a role in customer journey if it is right for your specific business. So the right channel and at the right time. That is really why we create customer journeys so that you are delivering a seamless experience for your subscriber or customer with the right message on the right channel at the right time. So why customer journeys matter? They provide an improved customer experience. They're definitely more personalized than general marketing messages, really because they arrive at the right time and are based on someone's unique experience with your brand. So think post-purchase series, um, the first time you purchase, a welcome series. Really think about how that is so much more personalized than your regular marketing messages. Customer journeys also build loyalty, which in the end leads to more buyers, repeat buyers, and brand advocates. There's nothing more to be said about this. These are the things that you want your email list to do. You want your list to build loyalty and really help you not only sell, but to create brand advocates for your specific brand. It's also a great way to nurture leads. By having a series of emails, you guide your subscribers to a purchase so much faster than general marketing emails do. Not to say general marketing emails aren't important. They are part of the overall customer journey, but today we're really talking about the specific emails that are more automated. So think a welcome email, so standalone welcome versus a welcome series. A welcome series is really going to help you nurture leads because it's a series of emails that not only explain your brand, but encourage people to purchase and get them excited. By having cross-channel messaging within your customer journey flow, it allows for collaborative messaging across channels. And I use the word collaborative because I really want to make sure that you guys know that it doesn't need to be the same message. Sending the exact same message on SMS and email doesn't necessarily have a good impact, but collaborative messaging does. So you really want to think of these channels as working together instead of separate. So I started saying that this is one of my favorite email marketing topics. But why am I talking today about my process for building customer journeys? And the reason is journeys fail without a plan. I have seen this over and over again. One of the biggest mistakes that I see that brands make is they dive right into the platform without thinking about the subscriber journey. That can be incredibly overwhelming. I mean, think of the time, when you were learning your new email platform. That was overwhelming. Now, if you're mapping your customer journey within the platform without thinking about steps before you even log into the platform, it's just a big mistake and it's not going to amount into a great subscriber experience, but it's also going to be a big headache for you. So, a framework for building successful journeys is key. It allows you to map your customer path before you log into your ESP. And I'm a big believer in this in mapping. I use mapping software. I also tell some brands if you want to just whiteboard it out or use pen and paper, that's good too. The benefit, though, of using a mapping software tool for journeys is that you can really kind of see how your journey is going to look and you can move things around as you kind of, decide what your journey should look like. It also allows you to create your plan before building out all the emails. So you don't know at today that you need 5 emails for your journey, 3 emails for your journey, 20 emails for your journey. But if you map it out, you'll really be able to see how many emails are needed for a customer journey that really is going to strive for whatever your business goal is. So maybe your business goal is appointment booking. You may need a certain number of emails for that. Maybe your email is about selling product. You may need a different number of emails for that than for selling services. So let's go into my 5-step process. First, I start with the journey map. And as I said, I do this outside of the platform because I really believe that this is so important. As I said, I have seen mess after mess, mistake after mistake when journeys are not really mapped out thoroughly. So the one thing that you want to ask yourself is what is the goal you are trying to achieve through a customer journey flow? It is not necessarily about email metrics. It is really about what is the business goal that you are trying to achieve. So that could be more sales, more bookings, repeat business. Really just think about what the goal is of your journey map and every single journey within that map. You want to identify the key touch points. Think new subscribers, new buyers, repeat buyers. Are you going to tell your brand story? I think this is a wonderful opportunity as you think about a welcome series or a new purchaser series to really talk about your brand story. And then also remember lapsed customers. You may have seasonal buyers. You may have people who purchase once, haven't purchased in 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. You really want to make sure that you have a lapsed customer touch point as well. And then think about the segments that make up your audience. So, what types of segments are you going to have within your journey? So, the most common example is a welcome series. You may have a welcome series for people who have not yet purchased, so they've just subscribed to your email. And one of those segments may be what happens if someone purchases. So think about the segments that make up your audience. And then are there seasonal considerations that you need to take into account? A lot of the time, we always say that journeys and automations are set it and forget it, but they're really not set it and forget it. They are set it and forget it for right now. Definitely think of seasonal considerations. I work with brands who have very different messaging if it's winter versus summer. If they're selling products that are more summer related than winter related, that is something that you want to take into account in your customer journey. If you're in a service-based business where you're trying to book appointments for something, you may want to turn off certain journeys like during the holidays. Maybe Thanksgiving week is not a great time for that. Or maybe it is, depends on the nature of your business. Same with Christmas week. You really want to think about what are the seasonal considerations and time of year considerations. So it doesn't have to be that, you necessarily sell products that are more winter or products that are more summer. There may be seasonal considerations depending on the nature of your business busy season, not busy season. So really think about that as you start to think about your journey map. And then what is the story you want to tell after someone purchases? Like, where do they go in your journey? They obviously don't need to continue to get your welcome series that pushes a purchase. You want to acknowledge now that they have purchased. So really think about what happens after they purchase. And then how are you going to handle those non-purchasers on your list? So I mentioned that you would have a lapsed customer journey. You may also want to have a lapsed subscriber journey, people who have never purchased. So really think about those types of segments as you build your journey and really doing some analysis. And I'll talk about a case study in a little bit. Doing some analysis on your data before you start mapping your journey is definitely going to kind of guide where you need to have customer journey flows. And then lastly, how and if SMS will fit into your journey. I see often that brands are still doing SMS and email very separately. If you put that into your customer journey and really think about, am I going to send an email today and then an SMS tomorrow? Um, that's definitely something that you want to think about and you want to map out. So, perfect example, and this is sort of customer journey, kind of transactional, but abandoned cart. Maybe you have people who are on your list who are signed up for email. They're also signed up for SMS. You probably want to send them an email, a few hours after they've abandoned. They still haven't purchased. Maybe you'll send them an SMS 24 hours later. So this is an example of a map, and part of the reason I said I really love using software tools to build these is that you can move stuff around as you see that it works or it doesn't work. You can leave notes in it. You can really kind of outline, what are the entry points that someone gets into your journey, whether that be new subscriber, something from your POS system, and you can move things around. You can decide like, I don't need 4 emails, but maybe this email will actually go into the purchaser journey versus the non-purchaser journey. So it's really just an easier way. As I said, pen and paper works great too, but I do believe that a mapping software, I personally think that that is much more helpful and a big time saving. So let's go into the emails. So this is step 2. You want to structure your emails now based on the journey map. So focus on the specific objectives for each email. And again, that is business objectives, not email marketing objectives. What are the business objectives that you talked about or set on your list when you first started building your journey map? And then write out all the details of your email. So think subject line, headline, copy, your CTA. It's important to kind of do this before you even start building the messages with creative. Really think about like what the structure of that email will be. What is the messaging? Are you going to have, you know, a lot of copy? Are you going to be testing copy? Then once you've kind of mapped that out and written your email copy, that's when you want to move on to building the actual emails. And also develop an A/B test plan. Time after time, I hear, I like this, so this will work for my audience. And the truth is, sometimes what we like is not what our audience likes. So A/B testing is really going to help. And a customer journey flow is the perfect time to A/B test because keep in mind, these are the people, you're hitting them at the right time in the journey with your brand. So by A/B testing, you're probably going to get really good A/B test results that will tell you like what your audience likes. So think subject line, think maybe text only emails, test CTA, test content. These are the types of things. Make sure that A/B testing is part of your message plan. Now let's go into the journey build out. So this is step 3. The platform, whatever platform it is you use to send emails, that is to execute the journey, not to be where you plan it. It's really important that this is where you are executing the journey. If you are planning your journey, as I said, this is where I see so many mistakes happening. So I really encourage you to make sure that this is step 3 in your journey building process. So at this point, this is the first time you log into your journey. I'm sorry, into your platform to start building your journey flow. So this is when you would take the map you built. This is when you would go into your email marketing platform. This is when you would start mapping out your journey in the platform based on the map that you already built. And, by basically making this step three, I actually think you will spend less time building out in your platform than you would if you started in the platform. And that's kind of why I say, and I've tested this on my own, like with my own journeys for my business, where I've just been very busy and I'm like, oh, I'll just create it in the platform. And then I do, and it becomes a mess. It's so much easier if you can map it out outside of the platform. So that's when you're going to use the map to create the journey in the platform. So some journeys that you create are going to be very linear. People go through step by step. It could be a welcome series. They don't get kicked out necessarily of the journey. You may have journeys that have branching. So they may get kicked out if they purchase. They may go on to another journey. It really kind of depends. Or you may have very complex journeys like this one here. This is super complex. People start at different times in the journey. And then, based on certain business criteria and activity that happens, they go on to another stream in the journey. They may get kicked out of the journey. But again, it's really just important to really think about that journey map. So you see how complex this one is. If I had built this one in the platform to start, I'm not even sure that I could have built it like this. I feel like I would be deleting and starting over and wasting so much time. So in this specific one, I actually did use my journey map and I had it up on my iPad and I went step by step and built this journey. So let's talk about the launch. So we're now on to step 4 of my 5-step process. So your emails and your SMS creative should not be the only part you test before launch. You want to test your journey logic and your data flows. So you can create sample data that mimics your actual data for this step. And I really think this is an area where I often see that people just turn on journeys and they realize that there are data elements that they didn't take into account. And if you use some test data and sort of mimic what the actual data could look like or will look like, you're going to see if there are gaps in your journey. Um, so I think it's something that I often see is forgotten, but I definitely think it's really important because, yes, creative is super important to test. You want to make sure that your links are working, that your call to action is going to the right place, but you also want to make sure that the data flowing in is working as you intended. And I often say pretty creative is only a very small piece of your overall email marketing strategy. The data and the segmentation and the automations are probably just as important, if not more important, than how your creative looks. You can have beautiful creative and then your data is wrong. And then also monitor daily post launch to ensure that everything is coming in. Test data is great. It will find holes, but you also want to monitor the real data. So I always, tell brands like you want to monitor this for the first 5 to 7 days. Make sure that data is flowing in the way you think it's supposed to. Make sure that your journeys are firing as they're supposed to, and really just keep a really careful eye on it, especially in the beginning. So let's go to the analysis part. So, as I said a few minutes ago, journeys are not set it and forget it. They are set it and forget it now. So, I always say that you need to regularly analyze performance metrics, not just for your automations, but your email marketing in general. So, when I launch a customer journey, I often say we check it 30, 60, or 90 days, depending on the length of your journey. If your journey goes out 45 days and that's the first time you can really see any like good results, Obviously, you're not going to check it 30 days, but 30, 60, 90 is like just a good tip of when you should be checking. And these are also the times to check your A/B test results and determine if there's a winner. You don't need to A/B test forever. You want to utilize that data from A/B testing and roll stuff out to the winners. And then, are there parts of your journey that aren't working and need optimization? Just because we built this great map, we have beautiful emails, and we launched it, does not mean that our journey is working 100%. There is always room for improvement, for optimization. I definitely think, kind of auditing it at different times, even if you've already done your 30, 60, 90 check, just make sure that, you are always looking to see if there are ways to optimize your journey. So I want to talk about how I use this five-step approach for a specific client because I think it's really important to not only, hear like these are my 5 steps, but to really see how it helped improve this client's program. So we're going to go into a quick case study. The the client challenge was they wanted to increase in-store traffic. They were mostly selling in store, but they were using email to do that. But most of the offers they were sending were via direct mail, and redemption was very, very low. They weren't really able to track if people were redeeming things from a direct mail piece or email. There wasn't really a system in place. The email messages were ad hoc, and the same message was sent to everyone on the list. So they were not taking into consideration customer, purchasers. There was just no consideration for length of time on the list. Were you a high value customer? Had you purchased once and not again for 4 years? So there were no considerations in general for the marketing. And the only journey flow was a welcome email, one welcome email. You go to the website, you sign up. That was the only that was the only journey flow that was going out. And I'm not even sure that you can call one email a journey flow, but it was automated. So it technically qualifies as a customer journey flow. So the strategy and approach, we mapped out the customer journey with that 5-step approach. We analyzed their data to determine how many emails it took for someone to make a purchase. So we were able to use their past marketing data, their past email data, and back into an analysis to say people got X many emails and that's when they made a purchase. We also had to evaluate how data was passed from their ESP to their POS to determine what triggers were needed and what triggers we could actually do. It's really important to understand how your data is coming into your system in order to make sure that you are able to create a really good customer journey flow. Really understand how that data works, analysis on not just your email program, but how data is coming into your system is super important. So really quick, just, high level recap on this. As I said, the client wanted to increase traffic to the store. They were not really doing customer journeys. They knew it was important. We mapped out the 5-step process. And so let's talk about the results by using this. They saved so much time. Time saving. They were constantly like just creating emails, figuring out like who should they mail to. By having customer journeys, they were able to kind of separate their general marketing emails and customer journeys because they didn't need to constantly think about all the marketing emails because we had these customer journey flows going out. Also, again, I think I saved time because I was able to map this out before we logged into the platform. They also saved dollars. They were able to cut back on their direct mail significantly and move a lot of this to email. So they definitely saved a lot of money. But what was really exciting for me was not only that they saved money, I mean, that's great, but when I dug into the metrics, what was really interesting to me is that when we compared their old way of doing things to all these customer journey flows, the click rate was 172% higher. I mean, That's an amazing increase. So that was super exciting. But even better yet, their average order value increased by 7.4%. So this was a win all around. So as I said, we can't always assume that our customer journeys are, perfect when we launch them. So we looked at making adjustments at 30 and 60 days. So when we did that, we determined um, that we needed to decrease the number of days between the first and second send. We just realized that I can't remember the specifics if it was like 3 or 5 days, but we realized that people were purchasing pretty quickly. We had A/B tested that, and we realized that we actually needed to shorten the number of days. So we did that at the 30 and 60-day mark. One of the things that we also didn't really take into consideration when we built the initial map was a lapsed customer series. We had a lapsed customer email, but we did not have a series of emails. So we realized that that was kind of a missed opportunity. And so we went back to our map. We launched that lapsed customer series. And while the journey emails are automated, they are updated to be aligned with the current season. So in this specific brand, they are very seasonal. They sell very different products in the winter holiday time than they do in the summer. So while the flow and the logic of the journey does not change, the actual creative does change on a fairly regular basis. It's like 4 or 5 times a year. But those are simple tweaks that can easily be done. It's also a great time to like just double check that, everything is still working as you intended. So again, as I said, journeys are set it and forget it for now. And in this case, because we do have to update seasonally, that gives us a point where we just have to check. So again, bringing it back to where we kind of all started, this is really about the right message, the right channel at the right time. That is the entire reason that you launch customer journeys. And that's really like the best in class of email is that you can deliver the right message on the right channel at the right time. And by right channel, again, I'm talking about kind of bringing in SMS to your email marketing mix. If that makes sense for your brand, does not make sense for every brand, but I do think it's something to consider. So here's my challenge for you. I would love for you to pick one journey to start this week. Create a journey map. So this is where you're going to define the touch points and audience segments. Then you're going to build your emails. So tailor the content to each journey stage. So let's just be very basic. Welcome series. If you're going to first welcome them with an offer code, then maybe you tell your brand story in number 2, and then maybe in number 3, it's a reminder about that offer code. So really tailor the messages to wherever they are on that specific journey touch point. The journey build out, again, keep in mind this is the first time you start building the journey in your platform. Please make sure that you do the journey map first. I really hope that you'll take something away from this. If the one thing you take away from this session is that, I hope that you will really build your journey map before you log into your platform. Then the launch, don't forget to test the flow logic, data flows, and creative. And then analysis. Obviously, you can't do your analysis this week unless you already have journeys launched, and then I would encourage you to go back and do some analysis. But keep in mind, you always want to be analyzing, optimizing, and updating. So thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go back to this one slide here because if there is something that you should screenshot from this, just as your reminder, this would be the slide that I would recommend you screenshot because I hope that I provided a lot of good information, but this is really kind of the summary of everything. So I really hope that you will screenshot this and kind of keep it at your desk as you build your customer journeys. And I always love to connect on customer journey, anything email marketing related. Feel free to reach out to me. I will leave this up for a couple of seconds. You can find me on LinkedIn. My consultancy is Mocha Bear Marketing. So you can go to mochabearmarketing.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can also reach out to me by email at elizabeth@mochabearmarketing.com. It was great being with all of you today, and I really hope that you will uh, start building your customer journeys. Have a good day. Bye.